What's going on, guys?
Stealing home.
Oh my
Watch
goodness,
out.
a home steal
Say we
attempt
did
in
it.
the
We stole
wild
home.
pitch.
That doesn't happen too often, folks.
What's going on, guys? Welcome back to Dugout Talk. I'm one of your hosts, Tristan McAllister, and joining me are the other two hosts, Red Sox minor leaguer Cooper Adams and Gettysburg College hitting coach Jason Kramer. For you guys that are new, we were Division I teammates at a small school in Maryland, and now we're trying to bring entertainment and knowledge about the game back to you. If you haven't already, Cooper, tell the playmakers what we need them to do.
Like, comment, and subscribe. And if you haven't already, check out our Instagram and TikTok.
Joining us is Division I pitching coach Dave Gage. For you guys, just a little bit of background on Coach Gage. Most career wins, highest winning percentage as a head coach at the former schools he was a coach at, inducted into the Hall of Fame at Southern Vermont in 2017. 18 years of coaching, 16 years as a head coach, and now he's going into his second season as a Division I pitching coach and the recruiting coordinator at Mount St. Mary's University. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, I appreciate you guys having me. And, I kept bothering Tristan to get on this because I think this really represents a lot about the Mount, and just how tight everybody is there and our program and how special it is and you guys being teammates and, everything that you guys accomplished. So really excited to talk some baseball with you guys.
I think like Coach Gage had said, this podcast does represent the Mount so well. We got Cooper's playing professional baseball now, Kramer who's coaching at Gettysburg College. I'm coaching down at a Division I school in North Carolina, UNCG. And then obviously Coach Gage coming on, and Coop would come back and throw bullpens. And when he signed his pro contract and facing the guys and stuff, that's the one thing about the Mount. It's a small school, and I think that's what makes it so special because people act like you just have your brothers to hang out with when you're playing baseball there. You're not a lot of these bigger schools kind of people I feel like separate and go their own ways, but at the Mount, it's so small, 2,000 students, like farmland spread out. It's like you're with your boys every night. I know sometimes people look at the Mount, it's like small school. People kind of shy away from small schools, but it's something I wouldn't trade for anything. That's the special thing about the Mount is that it is small and everybody's close together. So
I kind of have a question of my own for you, Coach Gage, is especially being a head coach your entire career. What led you to coming to the Mount in the first place? Because obviously, like Tristan said, like the Mount's a great place. I think the community there is fantastic. Like obviously, I wouldn't trade it for the world. I met two of my lifelong friends here, and even more there, and had a great experience. But what brought you from? I believe you were at Stevenson before to then coming to coach at the Mount.
Yeah, I think the obvious one is getting Division I experience, right? That's the easy one, but it goes a lot deeper than that. It starts with Coach Leone. I think just his ability to develop programs, right? He's done it his whole career, and he's a culture builder. And at the end of the day, like he really cares about players. And so he called me and offered me the opportunity, and it was sort of a no-brainer. I had always said to my wife that there was only two people that I would ever go work for, leave a head coaching spot, and Coach was one of them. Just his ability to develop programs, I think, is special. And I needed to grow. I think as coaches and as just people, we should always try to grow. And we had 5-6 great years at Stevenson, and I felt like I needed to do more. And I was a head coach at 23, so like I was like, what am I missing? And I need to get better. And I thought, what better person to go learn from than someone who's done this a long time, and just his belief in me was something that I wanted to do as well, because you go work for different people and you don't know how they're going to run their program, but his ability to be like, hey, just go run the pitchers the way that you see fit is special. And I love working with that man every single day. I love coaching baseball with him. It's a really special bond that we have, and I love the Mount. I love our kids, so it's been great.
yeah, I think too, just you talk about the culture. Obviously, we all played for him. We all got recruited by Coach Leone, getting recruited by other different schools too, and just being able to go play for Coach Leone. I think he built us into the men that we are today, and me still staying in the game, Kramer staying in the game, Coop playing professional. You got Tyler Long who's coming back and coaching with them. Coach Berman used to play for him, so I think it speaks volume not only like what is life like after baseball and the relationship that you'll have with Coach Leone is something that I will cherish for the rest of my life. So just shout out there to Coach Leone, because everybody that he's coached just kind of ends up becoming successful, even if it's outside of baseball. I know we're in baseball right now, and we've become successful in our own ways in that, but there's not another band that wouldn't fight for you for life outside of baseball on your resume, getting a good job, things like that. And obviously get married in September. He'll be there and you'll be there. So I think it just speaks volume of that. So um, for the obvious question, right? For a lot of kids that are watching the show and stuff, maybe high school kid or junior college kid, what is the best way for a kid to get recruited to play Division I baseball right now?
I think the recruiting process right now is really daunting, right? Roster size is shrinking, a lot of different things happening. And I don't think it's about playing Division I baseball. And I'm sure Kramer talks about this a little bit, but like there's so many great college baseball programs. And, all of us everyone wants to play at the highest level they can. But it's just having a good college career, right? And then hopefully having the opportunity to go be like Coop and play professionally is the dream. But you can't do that unless you get on the field. So you got to have that opportunity, and whether that's go play at a place early in your career at a Division III, or if it's come play at a mid-major or wherever your journey goes is however it can be. But I think to get on our radar is you got to show interest in the mount, right? Like I don't want to just go chase guys in at 34 guys. Like we got to find the right guys. We got to find guys who can play for our coaching staff, and I think that's really an important piece. We got to find guys who can survive at Mount St. Mary's, which is a servant leadership campus, and that's something that all three of you guys do a phenomenal job of. I mean, our guys talk about you guys all the time, right? Like it's like, could you played 2 years ago, and I'm still hearing stories about how well you led, and same thing. We had a leadership thing the other day, and guys are talking about Kramer. So for me, trying to find the right players and the right people for our program is important. So camps are great. Playing for a good program, having a good advisor is always a good thing. And then I still think Twitter or X, posting good videos, it gets guys interested. I don't think any of us love searching it all day long, but none of us are turning down when we see an arm that throws 92 either. Like we all, click on that and watch a little more video. So I think there's a lot of different ways. Everybody's journey is a little bit different, but those are some of them.
So obviously you're head coach at Stevenson for 6 years at the Division III level. Kramer, you're coach at the Division III level. And then you're coaching Division I. Kramer, you play Division I. What would you guys say are the differences between D1 and D3? Because, you hear kids always want to chase Division I, but like you said, it's important that you play. And secondly, it's important that you enjoy your career. You get 4 years of it. You want to enjoy where you're at. So what's the difference, and what should the kids be chasing, D1, D3? And is it really that much different? And if so, what are the different areas that they are?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing that I've seen so far about just the difference between Division I and Division III is Division I, obviously baseball is like pretty much your top priority. It's academics and it's baseball. But when you're at Division III, there's a lot of different things. Like academics are obviously number one, but a lot of the guys at least on Gettysburg, they do other things like clubs, and they do stuff for other intramural sports, and they do other things outside of baseball, and it's more of a complete college experience. You can obviously get a complete college experience in these big schools, but at the Mount, at least, it was like it's baseball and academics, and then just like your boys. And at Gettysburg, and can't speak for all Division threes, but I think it's just a more balanced, college experience, because you're not really practicing as much. You don't have as much practice time as you do at Division I level. So it's more evenly split out, where it's academic, sports, and then your free time, where at the Division I level, it's basically just academics and sports, and then the little free time that you do have. It's just much more demanding. But both experiences that I've seen, like, guys love it. The guys at Gettysburg, they love being at Gettysburg, and I've talked to a number of Division III coaches. There are guys they love the Division III model, just because it gives their guys a lot of freedom. And a lot of the guys that they just want to have a good college experience.
Yeah, I think the talent is close. I mean, I had 3 conference pitchers of the year at Stevenson, and every one of those guys could have pitched on our staff last year, and I think that's now that's the best, right? Like that's the best guy in the league. And I think you're seeing that across Division I baseball, right? I mean, UConn's got a bunch of D3 guys that played in the D3 World Series and having success. So there's a ton of talent at that level, and I think that's why it's important to find, the right fit. I think the development at Division One, that's where I was searching a little bit as a coach. Is I hated the limited time that we had in the fall at Division Three, and I just wanted to get out there with our guys more, and I'm able to be around our guys a lot more. Like Kramer just said, is it's baseball all the time, at Division One, and that's awesome. You've got to really love it. It can't just be something you do, as you guys know that have done it. I think from a coaching standpoint, man, I played a lot more golf when I was a Division Three coach than I do as a Division One coach. I know that much.
Depends where your priorities line up. Sometimes I still sneak out of the apartment when Jenna's not awake yet. Get out there early for early tea time. One thing though, like talking to my buddy last week, who actually made to the big leagues with the Tigers this year, did it with the Pirates and the Astros. Actually got to play with Coach Gage's brother with the Astros. But talking to him last week, it's like he wouldn't trade anything to go back or he would trade a lot of things to be able to go back and play college baseball one more time. And this is a guy who's playing big league baseball. So for a lot of guys, and it doesn't matter, like that's the top of the top. You get to play Major League Baseball. But for the guys, a majority of people don't. And I don't care if Cooper goes and plays 10 years in the big leagues. 10 years from now, if he finishes his career, then him and I, 10 years from now, we would be in the same position. We'd both be done playing baseball. So it doesn't really matter what division you're playing at, and I know people want to so bad. A majority of people are not going to get drafted out of college, right? It's a dream, so chase it for as long as you can, but the reality of it is majority of people aren't. So you need to go somewhere where, like Kramer said, you're kind of getting that balance of everything. You want to enjoy the 4 years. These are going to be some of the best 4 years of your life, and you want to make sure that you're enjoying it. You just don't want to be showing up because you're happy to put a sweatshirt on and sit the bench and not play every day. You want to be able to take those times in because it goes by just like that. I mean, life does. So you want to be able to enjoy every day when you're showing up, because when you do go play college baseball, it's a 6 a.m. lifts, it's the bus rides, it's the 5 games a week, it's eat this and make sure you sleep, and then the study, and then the clubs and stuff. It's this huge balance, and you want to make sure that you enjoy it. So if you're just going somewhere just to do it because mom or dad said so, best friend said so, or you want to rock this certain logo or something like that, then probably when your 4 years are done, you might be miserable. And maybe that's sometimes why we see so many people transfer, that they really didn't pick the place where they should have right off the jump because they were making a decision based on what they thought was cool and not really based on a smart decision where your heart should lead you. So
I think adding on to that, Tristan, and I know Coach Gage and you guys can kind of attest to this, it's, in today's college baseball, you have the transfer portal. So you have this ability to pick the place you want to go to. And if it doesn't end up working out, you can always transfer. So one of the best advice I got in the transfer portal, and then even before college, was go somewhere you will play. Because in all honesty, if you're at Vanderbilt for 4 years, but you didn't touch the field once, yeah, you can say, hey, I went to Vanderbilt to play baseball, but were you able to play? Were you able to have those moments? And like, maybe yeah, you had the cool moments on the bench, you had the cool moments with the guys and have that camaraderie, but like you didn't really get to experience that. And I think that's a lot of people's biggest regret when they're done playing the game, is that they didn't play enough. Right? They didn't go to the best situation for them to actually play the game that they love. So understand too that, hey, if your best opportunity right now is to go to a D3 school and play, understand that, hey, listen.
I think you figured it out.
Sorry, guys. I got a call and right as I'm.
You were rolling though.
Somebody started
It was
calling
You
me
were
right before
rolling.
I-
I was like, who's gonna start laughing first? Because we couldn't hear a word. Tilt it back
Oh
up.
man.
No, tilt it back
Where
up.
where
a
did I
little.
end, you know?
Tilt your phone back up a little.
Oh, back up a little bit. Yeah.
You ended like at Vanderbilt, like, maybe like you were able to experience the cool moments in the dugout or the cool moments, with your friends, and then didn't hear anything past that.
Hold on, say it again because they're still calling.
So the last thing that we his face, did you guys see his face?
Yeah.
He looked so
This is
upset.
pissing me off.
The last thing we heard was that, maybe you did get to enjoy being at Vanderbilt and spending time in the dugout and with your friends, but you didn't get to experience, what you were going
Okay.
to say.
Okay, I can do that.
Yeah.
All right, I'm good to go.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, so if you're not playing, a lot of people say that's what they regret the most is not playing. So understand that if you're going into your freshman year and your best opportunity to play is at the Division 3 level, then go do that. Because especially now with the transfer rules, hey, in 2 years or even in a year, you might be able to transfer to a Division 1 school and have a better opportunity to play. And I know obviously that kind of leads into a question for me to you, Coach Gage, is how does that play into everything, especially with the recruiting part of things and also trying to keep guys? Like, how do the new transfer rules and all that type of stuff play into how you recruit and how you try and keep guys on the team and build that chemistry?
It's a great question. I think we're all trying to figure it out right now, obviously. And the biggest thing is like it doesn't matter what our feelings are. If somebody sits on here and is like, I don't like who cares? Like it's real. So you better figure out how to do it if you want to be successful in this business. And I think there's a ton of positives, right? Like if a kid goes to a place and he has a ton of success, maybe at a lower level, and he wants to go play Division 1 baseball, like now we got a shot to get a guy who has 75 innings under his belt. Obviously, from our standpoint last year, I think everybody, probably knows what happened is we got two really good arms and, they bettered themselves, in their mind to go to places and we'll see where that happens. But I think from a recruiting standpoint, come have an opportunity. You got on the field, whether it's freshman or sophomore year, you got on the field right away. And I think that's important. There's a lot of responsibility on us as coaches to develop our guys because as soon as we're not developing them, they're going to search, So I think there's a ton of responsibility in this business right now, which is good. Like no more faking it, no more just going out there and standing in the cage and saying good job after doing 10 flips, right? Like you better work with your dudes. Like you better know what you're talking about and you better research this. So I think it's great because it's going to make us better as coaches and challenge us. Obviously, we don't want to lose dudes, right? We don't want to lose the guy who struck out 107. We don't want to lose the guy who was first team all conference. Like, we want guys to graduate from our place. Like, I think there's value to being at a place and having an alma mater. Like, I do think there's a lot of value in that. But again, like we got to figure out how to go do that. And on the flip side, like, maybe guys just need fresh air. I think we got a couple guys in our program this fall, and in our program coming in the spring that, maybe they're really good arms that just got, we're behind a couple guys and they needed some fresh air and, we were able to be that place. So it's just constantly adjusting. You can't really have feelings about it. You just gotta learn how to deal with it and move forward.
So wrapping, the portal and people leaving schools and, trying to get recruited, play D1, D2, D3, what should a kid be valuing when they are deciding where to go?
I still think there's a lot of value in academics. I still think, the degree, it really does matter a lot because at the end of the day, that's a big thing. I think, mentorship is huge, right? Like what kind of, mentor are you going to have in the dugout day in and day out? If we're doing this for the right reasons, we should be developing men. So I think those things are big and just, what kind of, if winning matters to you, well, maybe playing time as a freshman might not be the biggest thing. If playing time as a freshman is huge, well, I don't see a lot of teams running out 9, 17-year-olds winning 45 games in Division 1 baseball, right? Like that's not happening. So you just have to do your research and find out what's important. One of my big pet peeves is I'll call guys on August 1 and be like, what are you looking for? Like a right fit. Well, what is the right fit? Define that. I don't know. Maybe the right fit is, a Catholic university that's 15 minutes from civilization and, just baseball is the biggest priority in your life. Well, then let's talk, right? Maybe you're fit is to be 10 minutes from Towson and, you know, downtown Baltimore, and well, then Stevenson's a really good look. Maybe it's to go to a place that's really historical. Go talk to Kramer, right? Like, you got to figure out what's important to you. You know, and I don't think that what, like you said earlier, what your buddy wants isn't what you want. So, you know, you just got to figure those things out yourself.
Yeah, and I think part of figuring that out, like you said, is going to the camps, doing these campus tours, and understand what you're walking into. A lot of kids, I don't think, really understand what they're walking into because they're just chasing what looks cool on the social media and stuff like that. Getting out there, seeing a school, talking to the coaches, talking to the players, walking around, understanding what is there is the best thing that you can do for yourself. It's something I didn't do when I was in high school. I'm just kind of like, oh, talk to the head coach on the phone or text them, and then kind of pop in and kind of see a place. Maybe not. Maybe it's just pictures and stuff like that. But I didn't really know, okay, what am I walking into for the next 4 years of my life? And how will, if baseball ends, better me for when I get out of baseball? Because trust me, I wanted to play Major League Baseball too. Like, all of us did, right? And so, hey, you chase that reality as long as you can, but, you know, if not, graduation's 4 years later, you walk across the stage, smile, here's your diploma, you play last baseball game of your career, and then you get done. And our pitching coach, who played 5 years in the big leagues, once he got done, he goes and gets his master's down at Florida State. So, like, even those guys still value, you know, their degrees and stuff, because even if you play Major League Baseball, unless you're a 10-time All-Star, you sign these huge contracts, let's say you just play 8 years and, you know, you're up and down between bigs and AAA and stuff like that, and then it ends. Now you got to figure out what you want to do with your life. And so and people are so young, 18, like back then, thought I was so grown, you know, looking back, like you're so young and you're walking into the next 4 years of your life, build these relationships and stuff. And so you need to get out there and see everything's around. Do you want to be far from home? Do you want to be closer to home? Like, that was a big thing for me. Like, I valued family, so I want to be a little closer to home. And I remember coming out of junior college, 2 offers, JMU or Mount St. Mary's. Pay a lot of money and go to JMU, or take a nice scholarship that Coach Leone was nice enough to give me, thank you, and be in less debt. And one of the things that I thought in my head, look, 2-3 more years left of school and playing, I'd rather not be in a lot of debt. But that's stuff I value, close to home, not being in debt and stuff, and playing every day. I wanted to play every day. And I knew Coach Leone was building something great over there coming into his first year, so I wanted to be a part of that. Speaking of earlier, I talked to my buddy last week who's played the big leagues with the Tigers this past year, and then, you know, got to play with Matt over in Houston. Obviously, you got to be there for his MLB debut out in Kansas City and stuff. You coached him growing up. Like, I could only imagine my brother making it to the bigs. So I kind of wanted to hear what, you know, you thought it was like when your brother finally cracked the bigs. You fly out to Kansas City and you get to watch him throw his first inning in the big leagues.
It's a pretty proud moment. You know, I think just been by his side and throughout the whole journey. And it's funny, growing up, Matt was my brother and now I'm his brother. You know, like, it was always like, oh, you're Dave's brother. But now, like, no matter where you go, it's like, oh yeah, you're Matt's brother now, right? So it's changes a little bit. But I'm just so proud of him, and, you know, he's done it for, I think this is year 12, and you know, it's a grind, right, Coop? And just day in and day out, and, you know, I mean, I remember he was making $1,200 a month in single A, and when he first started out, and I know they're doing a little bit better now, but, you know, 6 guys in an apartment, and their furniture was you know, a lawn chair. You know, that's what they had, and they had a card table for their dining room table. So, you know, you got to have a lot of sacrifice. You got to have people in your corner and helping you out. And, you know, we have great parents who helped him out along the way. But the debut was awesome. You know, I mean, it's just like your brother made it, like someone that you played catch with when you were 4 years old, or I guess when he was 4 years old, and just proud of his sacrifice, you know. And you talk about opportunity, right? He went to mid-major Division I and pitched every Friday night, and there's a lot of importance to that. And you know, now he's just been a little bit of a journeyman, and who cares, man? You get paid to play baseball, and as he says, like, you know, he gets front row seats to baseball every day, like whether he pitches or not, you know. And he'll talk about his time in Toronto. He's like, I just sat in the bullpen and was like, man, this is real. Like, I'm watching, like, I'm standing next to Vladdy on the line, or I'm standing next to George Springer in the dugout, you know. And it's just all those kids that are your role models growing up, right? And then all of a sudden it's like, oh man, that's my brother's like someone's role model, and I'm just proud of his career. He signs autographs for little kids, and I think he still does it for the joy and the love of the game. So, just really proud of him.
Yeah, anytime we get around, people are always like to Coop. When Coop and I go places, they're like, "Oh, you're Tristan's buddy" and stuff like that. So I get what you're talking about. So, uh, but talking a little bit about cool moment. Want to go back to the coaching side a little bit and stuff like that. Obviously, being a pitching coach, we had Kopech on last week, AAA catcher with the Padres, and then him talking about calling his own game. But obviously, people aren't kind of experienced enough. So I kind of wanted to hear, how do you call pitches, and then how does Kramer kind of set his guys up for when they're stuck, or a kid may not understand what he should be thinking up there in the box, what his approach should be. So I kind of wanted to hear you guys go back and forth about pitch calling and the approach at the plate.
Yeah, I thought it was as I listened to it, I thought it was a great question, Kramer. And I think there's a ton of value to what you were saying. And I've gone through years in this, and I've had catchers call every pitch, and I've had sort of a shake as you go, unlimited shakes, because I just our staff is good. And then last year was the first year in my career I called every pitch, right? And this year we'll change it up a little bit, now that I've done it a little bit. And I think as I just listened to that, there's a difference in pro ball when those guys are studying it, and you're in the locker room at 2-3 o'clock in the afternoon for a 7 o'clock, and there's a lot more film and everything. And I think there's a piece to this where like we got to develop pitch callers, right? And that's our job. And we got a pretty good catcher this year that we're excited about, and I think he knows the game pretty well. But yeah, I think when you're in this business and that if your dudes don't perform, your paycheck is changes as well. Like you start to get a little you start calling every pitch, and I got this opportunity to be a Division I coach, and I wasn't going to mess it up, so did that. And you just keep growing and trying to teach your guys after year one like what they can do better at, teach your pitchers why you call certain pitches and how you call it, and what your thought process is. So I think there's value to both sides. I think there's a responsibility of a coach to develop pitch callers, and I think there's a difference in pro ball when those guys are doing it every day, and there's a ton of value. I think Coop, you said, is like the catcher sees it, what they see. And I thought it was funny. One of the things you talked about was like when you're not on the same page as a catcher. And I remember my brother's in AA. He had like 2 bad weeks, and he was calling me every week complaining about the catcher. And I was like, dude, shut up, man. Just throw the pitch. Like, shake your head yes and throw the pitch. But, there is so much value to it, right? Yeah. So, yeah, like I think there's a lot of different ways to do it. And you got to do what works for your program and what you trust, and what you feel. But I think players need to definitely think the game and try to learn how to call pitches, and coaches have to teach them.
Yeah, I think that's my biggest takeaway from the pitch calling was not to create robots in baseball. I think a lot of times, like with the pitch calling, like the catchers aren't even thinking about the game. They're just getting told fastball, and they're just putting the fastball in. Like they're not thinking, why is this pitch being called? So I think that's a great point that you bring up, that you try to tell your catchers, hey, this is why I called that pitch, or the pitcher, this is why. Like I think that's really important as well. And from the hitter side, I think it's important to understand how you're getting pitched. I think if a pitching coach sees something or they have a scouting report that you can't hit fastball away, you better believe you're going to get nothing but fastballs away. There's just no doubt. So it's understanding how you get pitched and what type of sequences you get on a game-to-game, at-bat to at-bat basis. I think it's huge. You can tell a lot of the times by just the sequence and kind of how you're getting pitched game by game. If you just simply just write it down. We journaled at the Mount and understand kind of how you get pitched. I think journaling is something that's big in hitting. I did it a little bit different than everyone else. I kind of would go through pitch by pitch and say, okay, I got a fastball in, I got a change up away. Like you can start to pick up on these things of what the pitching coach or the catcher is trying to do to try to get you out. And if you understand that and you are a step ahead of the pitching coach or the catcher, you're going to be successful because you're thinking ahead and you kind of understand how you're going to get pitched and what pitch is going to come. So it's just cat and mouse game. that is really fascinating, and it always intrigues me about the game. And that's why I love hitting, even though it's hard. You always try to one up the pitcher and try to, outcompete them and try to make the next move on the chessboard to your advantage. So I think it's an awesome thing to talk about. I love talking about approach and everything, little nuances about the game.
I think it's also before you get into it, T-Mac, I think it's very important, like you said, Coach Gage, to teach this. Because especially, for all the people that are coaching out there, um, understanding that being able to have like the knowledge as a pitcher to understand what to throw, the situation, everything that's going on is extremely important and a valuable tool to have in your toolbox. Because if you're out there and, like Kramer said, you're being a robot, you're kind of just looking at the sign and going, sure, I'll throw that, and not really thinking about, like, well, okay, you know, he wants me to throw a fastball in the outside part of the plate, but we have a shifted infield in right now. Like, okay, so if I do put this inside, right, and he hits it, or, I guess if it's an inside fastball and you set up for an inside fastball and guys are shifted to protect for the ball pulled that way, and you go, okay, well, that's cool. I'm not really thinking about it. And you throw a pitch on the outside part of the plate and the hitter takes it the other way where there's no infielders, and you're sitting there going, why is there no infielders? Well, there's a reason that pitch was called, and you have to understand the situation for why it was called and why you don't go with another pitch there, and why, oh, well, maybe actually, you know I don't feel the fastball here. I think he's kind of on time with it. I think I switch it up, go change up, go curveball, go slider. Like, being able to kind of see the nuances within people's swings, and that's a very important skill to have. But it's not something I believe that a lot of kids, especially in the high school and college age range, are really taught. And I think, obviously, like you said, Coach Gage, I think that's a valuable thing to teach catchers and pitchers, is going, hey, so I told you to throw a fastball in, and you threw it away and he hit it the other way. This is the reason I called that, because we're shifted that way. And if you throw that pitch in, more than likely he's going to roll over and it's going to just be an easy, ground ball. But you put it away. Yeah, sometimes you miss a spot, but that's a pitch that, like, hey, you have to focus everything you possibly can on throwing that pitch in. So being able to understand that as a pitcher really helps you continue to grow.
There's no doubt that when guys believe in it, they execute a little bit better, right? And I think that's something that when I look back at last year and just how I can continuously grow as a coach, is like, I got to allow our guys to not necessarily do what they want, right? Because there's a responsibility as a coach, but I got to explain it to them so they're not sitting there like, why is he calling slider right now? I want to go fastball, and then they hang a slider. It's like you got to execute it still, and there's a piece to it that you have a responsibility for, but I started to allow our guys in bullpens, like, call your own game. Let me see how you want to call it. And then I can talk to them about it, like, hey, you just went basic book there, and every hitter is going to learn that. So this is why we went here and here, and the tunneling, and, just teaching, right? Like, that's coaching. So, obviously it's easy to talk about it in an ideal situation with no stressors. It's different in the middle of April when you're on a 3-game losing streak and you just, like, do what I say because you got rocked last time. It's a little bit different. But we do have that responsibility, and, just trying to execute that as a coach the best I can.
Yeah, I think so many guys that I've heard over kind of my college career and playing with them, and, I definitely made excuses when I played at some point. But guys, I always hear guys complain about what pitchers got hit and not what pitches, right? And so for me, it's like, what guys don't understand is that the pitching coach's job to literally feed his family is to make sure that the pitching staff gets outs. And so much time and effort goes in on the pitching side where the coaches are watching film nonstop. And obviously I haven't, had to do that, but sitting there and watching, you and even us starting to get into some scouting reports and stuff now, watching the film and understanding each hitter, it is just so many hours go into when you're eating dinner, you're watching, when you get done eating dinner, you're watching, when you're on the bus, you're watching film and stuff. And now you put this whole plan together. This is how we're going to attack this guy. This is why. And the players don't really understand that, especially the young guys, that how much time and effort goes into the scouting reports. And so they just think, okay, like, hey, we're throwing this guy in. You know why? They don't really understand. They throw a fastball and he gets hit for a double, and they're like, we shouldn't have thrown a fastball there. Well, you didn't watch film on him, so you don't understand. So, like you said, working with your guys in the bullpen and stuff, you get to know them, and now you're really trying to understand who you're going to face. And so, if you are a guy that wants to understand and have that respectful conversation and stuff like that with your pitching coach, I think you need to earn your right. And I think that comes with one, trust, hard work, and then understanding where the pitching coach is coming from. So a lot of respect there.
I wish the one thing is like summer ball spent more time on it. I mean, it's one place, right? Like when you get into winning and losing, and like you just said, is college games. You only play so few games, and every pitch matters. And I just wish summer ball would spend a little more time on that, especially the youth level. 17U, 16U, like really let those catchers and feet. And so what, you lost a game on a Saturday afternoon, like, but you taught a kid how to call pitches. That would be, there's a lot of value in that.
Absolutely. So kind of just wrap it up here. We got Kramer. If you guys are wondering why Kramer is sitting in the car, this is the life of Division III coaching, where Kramer, right after he gets off this, he is going into UPS, right? FedEx. He's going into FedEx and going to be working his other job. He works sometimes Sometimes you get up at 3 a.m. at work, and then sometimes. Yeah.
It's the grind, baby. It's the grind.
So that's part of being a volunteer coach right there, and Kramer's living the dream. So to close it up, obviously we always do a Bible verse, and Coach Gage had sent me this today. So we're gonna let him speak on it, and it's Proverbs 16:9. A man plans his path, but the Lord establishes his steps.
Yeah, it's something that has meant a lot to me. As one point in my life, I wasn't necessarily looking at the Bible and going to church the way that I wish I had. And I don't know. I got in a bed one night. I looked over and there was a Bible there, and I was like, oh, I should probably read this. And just started realizing like God has a plan and everything. And a couple months later, I met my wife, and now we have 2 kids. And life has taken me to now be a Division I coach, and I just trust God so much with the plan. And you can't go play GM, Coop. Like even though you want to get moved up, like you're not the GM, and like you're gonna have 5 great outings, and some other dude's gonna get rocked, and he's gonna get moved up. And it's God's plan, right? And for myself, like I want to go be a Division I head coach, but like maybe that's not God's plan. Maybe it's to be the best pitching coach at the Mount. Or Tristan, you're trying to move up in this business, and you guys are great coaches, but I just think it's just always trusting God's plan. Like we always like wake up and like we're striving for greatness every day and to do something special, but just trusting God. And I think that's really what this verse means to me. And you just got to trust God that He has a plan, and it will work out for you, the way it's supposed to.
And I'd like to actually talk about that one too. I'll make it quick for you, Kramer. But no,
Kramer's gone,
it's
by the
actually
way, so.
really funny. Oh, okay, okay. Yeah, I think it's really great that this is the quote that was brought up today. It's actually kind of funny, at least in my circumstance. I was actually having a conversation with a friend about this, about that part of it, trusting God, trusting that He has a plan for you, and not getting impatient. Because this, as you said, like it's hard in moments to not try and play GM, or not get all worked up about like, well, am I in the right place right now, or am I doing the right things, or what's going to happen in 5 months from now or 6 months from now? Like, am I ready? Like, what's what do I need to do? And it's like, well, hey, just relax, like trust in God's plan, trust that like he's pushing you forward in the right path. You just have to stick with him, and kind of keep living day to day and keep doing what you're doing. Because yeah, at least, and everybody has these type of days. I kind of had that day today myself, and that was one of the big things that I was talking about was, hey, relax, trust God. He has a plan for you. Stick with it. So just kind of funny that this is the quote that was brought up today, because definitely something that came into effect today in my personal life.
Yeah, and I think Coop and I had a call the other day. Coop saw this guy in the facility, and he's throwing 100 or whatever it is, and him and I talked about it. I said, listen, dude, you're on your own path by yourself. Like, you can look around, and that's kind of what people kind of do now. They see this stuff on social media and think people are living all these great lives because all you're seeing is just the great side of it. But I told Coop, you for so long you have stuck to your plan and your path and just taking it one step at a time. And so it's okay if you feel like this person's above you, but the greatest path is the one that you're on right now. You don't want to look for these like little shortcuts and stuff like that because you know your identity, what you've done good for so long. And maybe that guy's throwing 100%. I'm sure he was, obviously, if he's throwing 100. You're not quite there yet.
Mhm.
And so, but for you guys that, don't really know Cooper's story, like when he gets, he doesn't get drafted out of Mount St. Mary's, he goes down to Tread, he works his butt off, and then he makes a velo jump, and then the Red Sox sign him. And people just think it's some magic pill that Cooper swallowed, and now he finally made it. But what people didn't see is like the nights where maybe some guys are going out on Friday night, and Coop's going over to the apartment, and he has a home cooked meal, and he's drinking his water, and he's making sure he's getting to bed on time, stuff like that. And the mobility work that he did in the gym and just the little stuff that people wouldn't even think about doing, where he's grabbing this band, wrapping it around, the pull-up bar or whatever it is, and make sure to get mobility and laying down on the floor and doing these little stretches that are tedious, but in the long run, they brought him from, where he's at 93 to, 94, 96. And so for me, it's like, and Coach Gage talked about, saying this, like, we're always striving for greatness. And I think that the greatness lies in the steps that you take with God. And if you continue to trust each step that you kind of take forward, he's going to end up directing your life right where you kind of want to be, even if you can't, quite see it right now. And I think that's just, following. If we follow our, what we want out of this life so much, which, can be selfish at some times, then you're probably going to end up leading yourself to a place where it kind of feels lonely. I feel like maybe, if you're always following you, where if you're walking with God, there's some selflessness to it. Like, you're going to bear the fruit of life, the Spirit. You're going to have true peace, joy in every situation. And then you're like, hey, you look back, at the path you walk down, and you're like, this is exactly where, I need to be.
God doesn't make mistakes.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean,
No, he does not.
and baseball is so important to all of our lives. Obviously, we played it, now we're coaching it, and we're chasing so much more. And what people don't realize is that there is so much more to baseball than life. And I loved what Kopak said last week, where he said, when I almost started thinking like I was okay with life without baseball, then it allowed me to play a little bit more free. And I think that would be in everything. Sometimes people take their job too serious outside of, just not baseball. Some people take, a certain like relationship and they hold this grudge and don't have forgiveness. Like, for me, like, life's way too short to, be upset. Like, and I just wish people would understand that, in life, it's the best part of it is the joy and the love and the happiness and, the good moments. And so, and maybe it's easier for me than other people because I'm the kind of person where it's just like, I could get mad, with somebody, maybe it's my brother and I, fight 1 minute and then literally the next minute I'm like, what were we doing? Like, it's stupid. Like, let's just move on. And I think with baseball, bad game, good game, maybe not. Coach Gage, just, congratulations, second kid born here recently.
Yes,
It's like,
congratulations.
Thank you.
it's like even bad game, like you still have to go home. Now you're a dad to 2 kids and, your wife, and, you got to be a good husband
Yeah.
and you got to be a good dad now.
I just real
There's things bigger than baseball.
100%, and just like real quick, and just how funny, like, and just everything works out is, so our kid was due at the end of January, right? And everyone knows practice starts January 24th, and she came January 6th. So it gave me 3 weeks at home, to really spend time with family. And it's just those simple things. And it's like you think about it and you get all stressed out, like, man, how are we gonna start practice? And then I gotta make sure that my wife and kids are good. And it's like God's like, no, wait, like I got it taken care of. Like this is gonna happen, right? And he's like, man, like God is so good. And
Absolutely.
I just remember like the first, before I just looked at the Bible. I don't even know why the Bible was sitting on my nightstand that night, and just picked it up and started reading. And life has been so good, just like you said, walking with God and being a part of that.
Absolutely. I feel like if like you talking about like when I walk with God and I'm in the Bible reading the verses, like life feels so much better than when I'm not. Then I am more stressed out and I'm trying to figure it out all on my own. And at the end of the day, like you have God sitting, right there with you. So obviously, Cooper, you tell the playmakers what they need to do.
Like, comment, and subscribe.